In 1953, the CIA ran an experiment on a man who did not know he was in an experiment. They gave him LSD without his consent. 9 days later, he was dead. His name was Frank Olson. The government told his family it was a suicide. They were lying. And this is not a conspiracy theory. This is a declassified fact, confirmed by U.S. Senate hearings, CIA documents, and a White House apology. The real question is not whether governments keep secrets. They do. They always have. The real question is, what do they do when the secrets come out? The experiments. In 1953, the CIA launched a program called MKUltra. The goal? Find a way to control the human mind. Not science fiction. Not a movie plot. A real program, funded by the United States government. That ran for 20 years. They tested LSD on soldiers who thought they were getting routine medical checkups, on psychiatric patients, on prisoners, on ordinary citizens in bars and restaurants. CIA agents secretly slipped drugs into their drinks to observe the effects. One of those agents accidentally dosed himself and spent 3 days convinced he was going insane. They called it Operation Midnight Climax. And it was not a small operation run by a few rogue agents. It was approved at the highest levels. It involved 80 institutions, universities, hospitals, prisons, at least 150 separate research projects. When the program was finally exposed in 1977, by accident, because a CIA employee found documents that were supposed to have been destroyed, the director of the CIA testified before the U.S. Senate. He confirmed everything. MKUltra was real. The experiments were real. The cover-up was real. And Frank Olson, the man who died after being secretly dosed with LSD, his son spent 50 years fighting to find out what really happened to his father. In 1994, Frank Olson's body was exhumed. Forensic evidence showed he had been struck on the head before falling from the window. It was not a suicide. The CIA has never been charged with his death. The soldiers. Now here's a second story. Same era. Different program. Between 1944 and 1974, the United States military conducted nuclear weapons tests in the Nevada desert, and they positioned thousands of American soldiers directly in the blast zone to observe what nuclear weapons would do to troops in combat. These men were not told they were being used as test subjects. They were told it was a training exercise. They watched atomic bombs detonate from trenches less than 2 miles away. Some walked through the blast site immediately after detonation. The veterans who tried to speak about it were ordered to stay silent. Many developed cancers at rates far higher than the general population. For decades, the government denied any connection. In 1988, the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act was passed. The government finally acknowledged what had happened, and they paid compensation because they knew the lawsuits that would follow if they did not. The patient's third story. This one is harder to hear. Between 1932 and 1972, the United States Public Health Service ran a study in Tuskegee, Alabama. They recruited 399 black men who had syphilis. They told these men they were receiving treatment for bad blood, a local term for various ailments. They were not receiving treatment. The researchers were observing what syphilis does to the human body if left untreated. When penicillin was proven to cure syphilis in 1947, 15 years into the study, the researchers chose not to give it to their subjects. The study continued for 25 more years. By the end, 28 men had died directly from syphilis. 100 died from related complications. 40 wives had been infected. 19 children had been born with congenital syphilis. In 1972, a whistleblower named Peter Buxton leaked the story to the press. The study was shut down. In 1997, President Clinton issued a formal apology. He said, "What was done cannot be undone, but we can end the silence." The pattern. 3 stories, 3 programs, 3 cover-ups, MKUltra, the atomic veterans, Tuskegee, all real, all confirmed, all the result of official government programs. And here's the pattern that connects them. In every case, the people targeted were those with the least power to resist or expose what was being done. soldiers ordered to obey, prisoners with no rights, black men in the rural South in the 1930s. In every case, the information was classified, buried, or actively destroyed. When the CIA director testified about MKUltra, he admitted that the director of the program had ordered most of the documents shredded before the Senate investigation began. We will never know the full extent of what was done. In every case, the truth emerged not because governments chose transparency. It emerged because someone broke ranks, because a journalist investigated, because a family refused to accept the official story. Frank Olson's son, Peter Buxton, Senate investigator Frank Church, ordinary people who decided the truth mattered more than their comfort. The mirror. So here is the question that should sit with you. These programs did not happen in dictatorships. They happened in the United States, one of the most democratic, rights-based societies in human history. Which means the question is not, can a government with good intentions do terrible things to its own people? We know the answer is yes. The question is, what conditions allow it? The answer, consistently, is this: secrecy plus urgency plus dehumanization. When a government can operate in secret, when it believes the stakes are high enough to justify anything, and when the people being experimented on are seen as less important than the mission, that combination produces atrocities, every time, in every country, in every era. The Cold War created an urgency that felt existential. The CIA genuinely believed that if they did not find a way to control minds, the Soviet Union would. They were afraid, and fear, combined with power and secrecy, is one of the most dangerous forces in human history. The lesson. Here is what these classified programs teach us about ourselves. Institutions do not become corrupt overnight. MKUltra started with one approved experiment, then another, then another. Each step felt small and justified by the previous one. This is the same pattern we see in every institutional failure. Not a single catastrophic decision, but a long series of small ones, each made by people who believed they were doing what was necessary. The lesson is not that governments are evil. The lesson is that power without accountability drifts toward abuse, every time. Not because the people involved are monsters, because they are human. And humans, when given power and secrecy and a good enough reason, will do things they would never do in the open. The safeguards matter. The transparency matters. The person willing to say, "This is wrong," matters. Peter Buxton was a venereal disease investigator for the Public Health Service. He was not powerful. He was not famous. He just knew what was happening was wrong. And he told someone. That is how the truth comes out, not through governments choosing to confess, through individuals choosing not to stay silent. Subscribe to Paleo Sapiens, 3 to 4 videos every week. History that changes how you see the world today. Tell me in the comments, which of these 3 programs shocked you the most? And which do you think we still do not know about? See you next time on Paleo Sapiens.